Hello, sports fans. It is Tuesday, November the 12th, the year 2013. And as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans yesterday. Let's recap what went on in the sports world the last few days. Let's start in the NFL. Let's start with the Thursday night game where the Minnesota Vikings beat the Washington Redskins 34-27. Vikings up to 2-7. Redskins down to 3-6. I'll tell you, this was a bad loss for Washington. They are up 27-14 in this game against a bad Viking team, and they let this game slip away. If Washington would have won this game, they would have been a game out of first place. This was an atrocious loss by Washington. I mean, we know Washington's not any good. They have a terrible defense. They can't stop anyone. But I thought they would be able to polish off Minnesota. They couldn't get it done. Minnesota rallies. Ponder actually started this game for Minnesota. Castle wrapped it up. Nice win by Minnesota. They hung in there. They came back from 27-14 down. They do get the win. Horrible loss for Washington. That all but buries them now. Okay, let's go to the Sunday games. Let's go down to Baltimore, where the Baltimore Ravens beat the Cincinnati Bengals 20-17 in overtime. The Ravens go up to 4-5. The Bengals down to 6-4. The Bengals have lost 2 straight overtime games. I mean, this was a strange game. I mean, the Ravens couldn't move the ball at all. The Ravens had a 17-0 lead at one point. The Bengals come all the way back to tie it. The Bengals actually tied on a Hail Mary on the last play of the game where they throw a 50-yard bomb and A.J. Green catches it off a deflection. The Bengals go to overtime. You figure they have all the momentum. They're going to win the game in overtime. They drive down the field. They have a 4th and 2. About a 50-yard field goal. So what do you do here if you're the coach of the Bengals? Do you kick the field goal from 50 yards? Do you go for it 4th and 2? Do you punt the ball? The Ravens haven't been able to move the ball all day. What do? They go for it on 4th and 2. They are stuffed. They actually lose yardage. Ravens take over around midfield. They go down and kick the game-winning field goal. I personally probably would have tried the field goal there, or I would have punted and I would have played defense. I don't think I would have went for it 4th and 2. That's a big gamble there. The Bengals, got stuffed there, and the Ravens took over and won in overtime. Very important win for the Ravens. They're up to 4-5. They're only a game behind Cincinnati now. Cincinnati's lost a couple in a row. Very big win for the Ravens. The Ravens have been up and down. They're only a game out of first place. And Cincinnati, keep an eye on them now. They've lost 2 games in a row in overtime. I think they've played like 3 straight overtime games. I think they won in overtime against Detroit before that. So keep an eye on Cincinnati right now. A little danger time for the Bengals. I still think the Bengals are going to win this division. Not a good loss for Cincinnati at all, though. Let's go out to San Francisco, with the Carolina Panthers beat the San Francisco 49ers 10-9. Panthers are up to 6-3. That's 5 in a row for them. 9 is down to 6-3. Carolina held San Francisco to 150 total yards. How good is Carolina's defense playing? They are a ferocious bunch. I mean, they are playing some real old-time fashion defense, Carolina. Very impressed with their defensive effort. Need to pick it up a little bit on offense, but you can't argue too much with Carolina. They've won 5 in a row. What's going on with the Niners offense? They need Crabtree back in the worst way. They can't move the ball from here to there. I mean, San Francisco's offense did nothing. So keep an eye on that. They got to get Crabtree back in the worst way. But Carolina, 5 straight, playing really, really nice football. A really dangerous team and tremendous defense team. I really like to see teams that play good defense in this day and age in the NFL because everyone's an offensive team now. It's so hard to play defense. Carolina, really nice defensive team. I love the effort in San Francisco. Great job by Carolina. Let's go to Pittsburgh, where the Pittsburgh Steelers actually won a game. They beat the Buffalo Bills 23-10. Steelers up to 3-6. Bills down to 3-7. This was an ugly mess of the game. The Bills got their quarterback, back this week, but he didn't play well. The Bills couldn't do anything offensively. This was a messy, sloppy game. Pittsburgh was in control most of the way. I was actually surprised. Buffalo didn't give you your usual good effort here. Buffalo's been in most of their games this year. I think they've been only blown out once or twice. I thought Buffalo would have a better effort here. I thought they'd be right in this game, but Pittsburgh pretty much controlled this game from start to finish, so the Steelers get the win. The Steelers are not going anywhere, though. We'll keep an eye on Tomlin. I don't think the Steelers are going to fire him. They never fire their coaches, but, I mean, he is under pressure now. Keep an eye on the GM, see if his job is safe, defensive coordinator. Of course, there was the rumors about Roethlisberger being traded. That's not going to happen. I mean, please, let's squash that. The Steelers do get the win here. I mean, like I said, they're 3-6. They're not going anywhere, though. Let's go to New York. The Meadowlands, not far from here, where the New York Giants beat the Oakland Raiders 24-20. Giants up to 3-6. Raiders down to 3-6. This was another sloppy game. Just a messy, sloppy-filled turnover game with special teams blunders. I mean, the Raiders had a 20-14 lead in this game, and they're driving, and Pryor threw the terrible interception that the Giants ran all the way back to the 5-yard line and ended up scoring and taking the lead and winning the game from there. So the Raiders had a chance to win this game, couldn't get it done. Raiders are starting to slip a little bit. They're 3-6 and not playing great the last few weeks. I thought they were starting to put something together, but they're back to the same old Raiders. Hey, the Giants, I don't think they're going anywhere, but because the division is so bad, they're still hanging right in there. They're only a game out in the loss column behind Philadelphia and Dallas. I don't think the Giants are going anywhere, though. They're kind of like the Steelers. I mean, I think they have a lot of holes. All right, but the Giants do get the win. Let's go to Indianapolis. Here was the shocker of the week. The St. Louis Rams go into Indianapolis and beat the Colts 38-8. Let me say it again. The Rams go into Indianapolis and beat the Colts 38-8. Rams up to 4-6. Colts down to 6-3. What in the world happened in this game? The Colts were playing really nice football. The Colts have a great collection of wins this year. They always play well in their building. And they just laid a complete egg. 5 turnovers for Indianapolis. They looked terrible in this game. I mean, they got blown off the field. Give the Rams credit. The Rams have been hanging in a lot of the games and not, didn't have a lot to show for it. Been coming up, they could have won against Seattle, came up, just a little short there. I mean, they've been hanging in the games, the Rams, but they haven't been able to win. But they put it all together. I mean, what a nice job by the Rams. The backup quarterback played well. The defense was swarming all over Indianapolis. Nice job by the Rams. I told you, keep an eye on the Rams next year when they get Bradford back. They have a lot of good young talent. The Rams could be a year away from maybe putting something together. So the Rams get the W there. Let's go to Tennessee, where the Jacksonville Jaguars get their first win. They go into Tennessee and beat the Titans 29-27. Jaguars up to 1-8. Tennessee with an awful loss down to 4-5. I mean, Locker gets hurt. He looks like he's going to be out for the year. Tennessee 4 turnovers. If Tennessee would have won this game, they would have been a game behind Indianapolis, and they play Indianapolis at home this Thursday. What an atrocious loss for Tennessee. They could have been right back in the division, and they lose at home to Jacksonville. And I know Locker got hurt, and I am not a believer in Fitzpatrick. I told you about Fitzpatrick. I'm not a big believer in him. And Jacksonville moved the ball very well against Tennessee in this game. I was surprised about that. Very surprising game. I thought Tennessee would handle Jacksonville. They didn't, so awful loss by Tennessee, and Jacksonville finally in the win column. Let's go to historic Lambeau Field in Green Bay, where the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Green Bay Packers 27-13. Eagles up to 5-5. They're tied for first with the Cowboys. Green Bay down to 5-4. Danger time for them. They're in danger of not making the playoffs. Rodgers is out. We'll keep an eye on that. They played their third-string quarterback in this game because their second string got hurt. They just signed Matt Flynn, so who knows where Green Bay's going, for the quarterback this week, but they need Rodgers back in the worst way. If he stays out another few weeks, Green Bay could be out of this. When he got hurt, they looked like they were going to be in first place for the rest of the year. Now they may not make the playoffs. That's how important a guy like Rodgers is to Green Bay. You take him out for 2 weeks, you go from first place in a solid playoff team to maybe out of the playoffs. So danger time for Green Bay. How about Philadelphia? And I picked on Philadelphia a lot this year. Foles is doing a really nice job at quarterback. McCoy played really well. Jackson, we know, is a good receiver. How about Cooper? He's becoming a really good receiver. Philadelphia really starting to pick it up. They get a break here, no Rodgers, but they're starting to play better on defense. And I hammered Philadelphia for much of the first half of the year. They are starting to put some things together. I got to give them credit. They're 5-5. They're tied for first job. Nice job by the Eagles. Let's go to historic Soldier Field in Chicago, When the Detroit Lions get a very big road win, they beat the Chicago Bears 21-19. Cutler starts, he gets hurt again, he doesn't play, late in the game, so Detroit comes up with a really nice win on the road here. Detroit is the least sacked team in the NFL. Stafford has been sacked the least amount of times in the NFL, so Detroit's line doing a tremendous job. Bears were trying to tie the game at the end here. They score a touchdown. They go for a two-pointer. They don't get it. I did not like the Bears' selection on the two-point plays at the end of the game. They actually had two chances to tie this game. First time they threw the ball. They actually threw the ball out of the end zone, but they got a roughing the quarterback penalty, so they got another chance, and they ran the ball, and they got stuffed by Fairley. Detroit just stuffed them on the two-point conversion, and Detroit hangs on the win. Didn't like either one of the two-point chances that Chicago ran there. Nice road win by Detroit. Detroit is starting to put some things together. They are now up to 6-3. They are all alone in first place. That win they had against Dallas has really propelled them. They were dead and buried in that game. Won a miracle game there. They followed up with a nice win here. Detroit 6-3 in first place by themselves. Bears are 5-4, but what's the deal with Cutler? He's in, he's out, he's hurt, he's not hurt, he might play, will play, he doesn't play. He's always banged up, Cutler, so keep an eye on the Bears. They're right there for the playoffs, but Cutler's got to play. He's got to stay healthy. I really like the improvement by the Lions this year, though. They are really starting to show me something. Let's go down to Atlanta, where the Seattle Seahawks just plastered the Atlanta Falcons 33-10. Seattle up to 9-1, Atlanta down to 2-7. I've said it a million times. It's a lost year for Atlanta. Too many injuries. Their defense is a wreck. No Julio Jones. They're a mess, Atlanta. Just forget this year. Regroup for next year. Seattle, this was a nice performance by them. The last couple of weeks, Seattle did not play well. Even though they won, they didn't play well. Well, they just bombed a bad team here. You like to see that by Seattle. Go into Atlanta, take care of business, and go fly home. Seattle 9-1. Very important who gets the home field in the NFC. Right now, Seattle has it. That could make the difference when you're talking about Seattle, New Orleans, San Francisco, whoever else, Detroit, whoever else you want to throw in there. Whoever gets home field is going to have a major advantage, especially if it's the Seahawks. Seahawks haven't lost a home game since like 2011. Very important they stay in that home field number one seed, so the Seahawks get the win down in Atlanta. Let's go out to the desert where the Arizona Cardinals beat the Houston Texans 27-24. Arizona's up to 5-4. Arizona's right in the hunt here for the playoffs. Arizona is doing a nice job, and I don't love Arizona. They do some nice things in the desert. They play some nice defense, get a nice win here. Houston's they can't catch a break. Houston has now lost 7 straight games. The back is out for the year. I mean, Houston's just a complete mess. What a lost season for the Texans. They have major questions to answer in the offseason, so they're a complete mess. Nice job by Arizona. 5-4 at this point in the year. Not many people would have predicted that, so a nice job by the Birds in the desert. Let's go out to San Diego, where the Denver Broncos continue their winning ways. They beat the San Diego Chargers 28-20. Broncos up to 8-1. Chargers down to 4-5. I'll tell you, the Chargers, I mean, here we go again. You look up, they're 4-5. I thought they were a little improved this year. They were starting to put some things together. You look up, they're a game under 500. Broncos continue to roll. Manning does have a sprained ankle. Let's keep an eye on that. They have a tough schedule coming up, Denver. They have Kansas City twice and New England, I think, in the next 3 weeks. And remember, they're a game behind Kansas City for the division. So that's very important, who wins that division. That could be the number 1 seed or the number 5 seed. That's a huge difference. Home field, no bye week. That's a huge difference who wins that division there. This week, Denver hosts Kansas City, so Denver has the advantage being at home. But let's keep an eye on Peyton Manning. Re-aggravated that ankle injury. They say he will play. Manning, of course, another spectacular game this past week. 330 yards, 4 touchdowns. It seems like he does that every single week during the regular season. Broncos get the win. Let's go to New Orleans. This was the Sunday night game, and the New Orleans Saints just blasted the Dallas Cowboys 49-17. Saints up to 7-2. Dallas down to 5-5. Danger time for Dallas. Lee is now hurt. They need him on defense. He's going to miss a month. Ware is playing, but you can see he's not 100%. Dallas's defense is being shredded. They've given up the most yards, I think, of anyone in the NFL. They are really lost on defense right now, Dallas, and New Orleans just blasted them. Now, New Orleans can do that to teams, especially in the Superdome. But this is danger time for the Cowboys. The Eagles have now caught them for the division. And the Saints, like I said, they're battling Seattle for that top seed in the NFC. And I think New Orleans and Seattle play this year. I think that game is out in Seattle. That'll be a very important game. May decide home field. Also, the Monday night game last night, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home win their first game. So Jacksonville and Tampa Bay win their first game this week. Tampa Bay wins at home last night, 22-19 over Miami. That's Tampa's first win. Miami drops to 4-5. Bad loss by Miami. Tampa quickly had a 15-0 lead in this game. It looked like Miami was not ready to play. Of course, we know all the distractions going on with Miami. Then Miami rallies. They take a 19-15 lead, but then Tampa comes down and wins the game, and wins the game 22-19. So Miami couldn't hold the lead. Very bad loss for Miami. I mean, they had a chance to go over 500 here, beat a winless Tampa Bay team, and they couldn't get it done. They got off to a horrible start. They rallied, but then they couldn't hold on to the lead. So a bad loss by Miami. We'll keep an eye on the Dolphins the rest of the way. They have a lot of distractions now. You wonder how they're going to play the rest of the season. Give Tampa Bay credit. They've been in a lot of the games they've lost. They've been playing hard. They finally get over the hump and win a game. Of course, New England, Kansas City, the Jets, and Cleveland had a bye week. So that's kind of where you were in your NFL the past week. As far as the college football, I mean, the college football was a very disappointing week. I thought it was going to be a great week of college football. It was a total bust. Baylor blew out Oklahoma last Thursday. Stanford laid it on Oregon. How bad was Oregon over the weekend? I mean, we'll get to them later. I'm going to be doing a show later on with Joe Spano doing the college football, and I'm going to lay into Oregon. Oregon just laid a complete egg against Stanford. And don't look at that score. The final score was deceiving. Stanford had this game in hand. I mean, this game was over early. What an atrocious job by the Oregon Ducks. They looked like a soft team. So unimpressed with Oregon over the weekend. Alabama pulled away from LSU. Mississippi and Auburn rolled. Fresno State undefeated. I mean, I know Pitt beat Notre Dame in an upset, but that didn't save the weekend for me. I mean, that didn't save it. There were too many bad games, too many big games that were blowouts. So I did not enjoy the college football weekend as much as I thought I did. It was a little bit of a letdown. I will be doing a show later on with Joe Spano. I'm doing a double dip today. I'm doing a solo show right now, and then me and him are going to talk college football later on. So we'll be doing a double dip today, so keep an eye on that show later on. But terrible week in college football. I was not impressed at all. And I'll tell you, this week coming up is not good either. And I'll tell you, we got to wait maybe a couple weeks until there's some decent games. So just awful week in college football. What else did I catch over the weekend? Caught a little NBA, caught a little NHL. It's so early in both of those seasons. Believe it or not, college basketball is underway. They have the 24-hour Hoops Marathon on ESPN. Now, they got a couple of doozer games tonight. I mean, they got Duke, Kansas tonight, and they got Kentucky, Michigan State tonight. Those are two really good games. You got Florida at Wisconsin, so you got some really nice college basketball. The thing about those big games tonight, I went to that doubleheader a few years ago. Duke, Kansas, Michigan State, and Kentucky always play at the beginning of the year. They switched the matchups and the sites, but those four teams have been playing in the beginning of the year for the last few years. I went to that matchup a few years ago at Madison Square Garden. Because it's so early in the season, the games are very choppy, they're sloppy, there's no flow to the games, they're very ugly games. So, you're not going to get great basketball. It's not going to be poetry tonight, but you got to love the matchups. I mean, you got four of the top 5 teams playing tonight. So check out a little college basketball if you can. I did catch some soccer over the weekend. I did catch the U.S. Women's national team. They beat Brazil 4-1 down in Orlando. Nice crowd down in Orlando, 20,000 to watch the women's team. So nice job by the people in Orlando coming out. The women's national team went the whole calendar year without losing. That is very impressive. Of course, the men's national team has a couple friendlies coming up. I believe Friday they play at Scotland, and then next week they play at Australia. I know a lot of you guys don't watch soccer, but if you can, check out some soccer. You got some World Cup qualifying this week. The MLS, that's the league here in the United States, they're in the playoffs. Check out some soccer. You might enjoy it. I know a lot of you don't like soccer. I personally do like soccer. I played soccer most of my life. I do enjoy soccer. I know a lot of you don't, but check out some soccer. You may fall in love with it. Okay, there you go. You guys are all caught up. You guys are all set. Now, like I said, later on today, I'm going to be doing the show with Joe Spano from Sirius Satellite Radio. We're going to be doing our weekly college football show. We're going to do some picks, talk about last week's game. So I'm going to be double dipping today. I'm doing this show now, and then keep an eye on later in the day today, maybe in the evening time, I will have the Joe Spano College Football Show up as well. So you guys are going to be all set for today. Tomorrow, wall-to-wall NFL. We're going to do all the NFL picks. We're going to preview the weekend, all that kind of stuff. You guys, thanks for the support. You guys stay safe. Enjoy the games tonight. You got a nice doubleheader in college basketball. You got your NBA. You got your NHL. And, of course, look for my Joe Spano College Football Show later on tonight. It'll be up sometime in the evening on the East Coast. You guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll talk to you tomorrow. NFL picks coming. Take care.